presents a platform with presence in over 30 states of the Federation. Be sure to be had. For live coverage of events, we have the capacity to deliver from anywhere in Nigeria and beyond. Contact us now on 0803 471 8550 or 0803 724 9733 014 533 407.
Our 24-hour news station.
One that bring back a girls movement caught fire on the social media network, and Nigeria got an overwhelming foreign support. Many thought that was the end of terrorism in Nigeria. Just like a nip in the bud and like a tick on the clock, we're going to get answers to all the begging questions. But it's day 103, and the over 200 Chibok girls are still in custody with the kidnappers, and that's why we're asking the question, where is the pledged foreign intervention as we fight Boko Haram in Nigeria? I've been speaking with a retired military colonel, Hassan Stan Lambo. Thank you very much for staying the course on the show today.
Thank you.
We're joined now by a political affairs analyst, Akintoye Branko Rhodes. Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for joining us again. What do you make of all of these? Over 3 months, the girl's still in custody. I mean, still in abduction. What exactly would you say is responsible with the help and the so-called foreign intervention we've had thus far?
Well, the foreign intervention clearly seems to be not there. And why the pledge? Or the pledges from all the international community and no result. 2 things I think may be the problem. If you remember that the American forces said that they would participate, but the Nigerian armed forces would have to lead the way. Maybe that's where the problem is in terms of capacity to lead the way in the present circumstances of the Nigerian army. Or maybe it was, again, on the second thought, saying that an American life, since we've been watching America in international politics or in peacekeeping or whatever, you realize that American lives are so precious that they don't deploy them unless the American interest, I'm talking now in particular America, unless the American interest is threatened, that's where they deploy their troops. It's unfortunate and sad that despite all the promises, nothing has improved in terms of the battle against the terrorists. And but one thing we all know is that nobody is going to do your work for you. No foreigner is going to come to any country to build that country for the people there. So if we keep that at the bottom of our minds, then it was foolhardy expecting international people to solve the mess that we had created.
But you know, unfortunately, the Boko Haram we see on videos do not look as well coordinated and well equipped, you know, to a point whereby we will see them still survive all this foreign intervention. What do you think is
the Boko Haram is certainly not as sophisticated from what we see, but enjoy a lot of sympathy, clearly from within. And that undermines efforts at curbing the menace. And, you know, for me, the problem of Nigeria right now seems to be the lack of patriotism amongst the leadership. Now, President Jonathan on his own may mean well, but the infrastructure of state is completely eroded. And that's now showing up as as an hindrance to meaningful engagement. That's what from my own assessment of where we are right now. I think the problem is there's not enough patriotism or commitment to the Nigerian state by all those that are involved in this engagement.
That's all right. Colonel, let me come to you. This lack of patriotism, did it get to the Nigerian army too? We were talking earlier about how we got here in the first place. If there is a Sambisa forest, it looks as if that part has been seceded away from Nigeria because the Nigerian military is saying we know where the girls are. If we know where they are and we can't get there, it sounds like it's a territory that is no longer under Nigeria as a sovereign nation.
Well, I have said in my earlier response, that look, the greater part of the problem I think the military has is that we as a nation have not been able to give them the enablement in terms of equipment to do the job they are supposed to do. I want to take, for instance, let me take a look at the Air Force, for instance. How many of our aircrafts out there can go on a precision bombing exercise? I was expecting that an issue as this, a lot of precision bombing will be able to be of assistance to us. If we are saying we know where they are and so on. I'm not saying that we'll go bombing where the girls are, because in the first place, as an individual, I don't believe that we should take the option of a rescue operation. I am for negotiation. That is my perspective to this issue. If those holding on the girls have said, we have your girls, and this is what we need from you, they are already placing an item for discussion on the table. What stops us from going out there to negotiate with them and get our girls complete, intact, and safe, and bring them back home? After that, we can think of any other Rambo decision or activity we want to take.
No, beyond the 200 girls, Colonel, because
yes, please.
We seem to also quickly forget about many little pockets of abduction that have happened before and after that major abduction.
Yes, at times when we say 200 or 200 plus, I think we should just be saying plus, because at times you really don't even know what the figure is, because I know we've had pockets of seizures by these men from and so on. All the same, we know the girls are numbering to nearly 300 or so. Let's just say 200 plus. So like I said, my option is renegotiating, please. That is the best option for us if we need these girls safe and make their parents happy and make the entire nation celebrate. It would even assist in galvanizing enough support behind the government in our fight towards these terrorists. Now, looking at the issue of equipment, which I was talking about, technology today rules the world. If you have left your army for 12 years, like Mr. President said, and like the Minister of Defense a few days back was said to have said for nearly 25 years the military had not been equipped.
Expected.
What do you expect from such a military? In the first place, mind you, we are not a manufacturing country. So it means nearly every equipment we need to source them from outside. Now you are not equipping your military. If you don't prepare for war, I mean, if you need peace, you must prepare for war. So if you are not ready to take on the preparation for war, you can never have peace. Like I was saying, look at the Air Force. The combing of Sambisa today requires technology. It requires technology that will tell you what is on the ground as you move, as you advance. Is there a hollow ground there? What is the wideness of the hollow underneath? Can it contain a tank? And so on. What is in that hollow? Is it metals or human beings? All this technology will be telling you as you press the buttons.
Yes.
What is the size of the equipment out there? And so on. What is it made of? What type of iron? By the time they are telling you the type of iron, you know whether... Well, yes, as a military man, you begin to put your
strategy
together, yes. Yeah. So at the end of the day, technology has given you 80% of the answer you need.
So why not deploy it?
If you don't shop for all this technology, Sambisa, we have been told the size of Sambisa. It's nearly half of a state. In some states, it's even land is even nearly the size of Lagos State, or is it over Lagos State, and so on. Is it human combing you want to be done? Go out and shop for what you need, and do this job.
Everything is available.
You cannot abandon your army for this long. One day, Benin Republic will overrun you.
Yeah.
Togo, as small as it is, would overrun you if they are equipping themselves.
Let's look beyond that now to look at the role of leadership. You recall that the Bring Back Our Girls movement seemed to be that movement that galvanized the whole world to rally around Nigeria. You know, we had about over 4 million tweets in just the very first day. But what we see today now, it seems to be more of a battlefield between the federal government and the Bring Back Our Girls activists. So what do you make of all of this at this time?
Because the federal government is misguided. The activism is about patriotism. I was one of those that was that triggered off the tweeting to create the awareness about this issue. As a parent, how would you feel if those children, any of those children were yours? Will you just keep quiet? Or will you just stay in a little corner and be hoping that they will just appear? This is terrorism. And in the case with the facts that we are faced with in Nigeria right now, we must cry aloud to get attention. But the government seems to be working across purposes with this genuine interest to rescue our children.
But the government is saying that there are informed opinions that the movement is being backed up by some agencies and being funded possibly by the opposition.
Nobody funded me. It is patriotism that funded me.
Simple.
I have 7 children, and I couldn't imagine that one of my children would be kidnapped and I would just keep quiet. Particularly when I have the means, a voice, I have a platform that I could express myself.
But wouldn't you see it from the perspective of the federal government as well? They are not saying it's wrong, but I heard one of the government representatives saying there should be a shift of focus from Bring Back Our Girls to Boko Haram, Bring Back Our Girls, and not just a fight against the federal government, but a joint fight against terrorism.
The issue here is that genuine children of Nigerian parents are missing. Now, of course, we're not exonerating Boko Haram from the aggression that we want our children back. It's if you look at it, the message is at Boko Haram and hoping that the government, who should have the monopoly of violence, will overcome Boko Haram and bring them back. That's the message. It's a simple message. Any government that loses the monopoly of violence loses its mettle as the custodian of the state. And that's the harsh reality we don't want to face right now. We don't want to come to the conclusion that in an event of great anarchy and confusion, there will be no government to protect the state, protect the people. Now, so that means that we in our clamor, all we're doing is urging the government to do what is necessary urgently and rescue our girls and bring them alive.
Colonel, would you agree that the federal government hasn't really done much? What exactly are the measures at this time to find out the level of involvement and the level of successes, you know, on the part of the federal government? Because some are saying that possibly we're looking at it from the negative point of view, that the army also have done a lot, you know, of course, some parts of the nation have not been seceded, you know, so there's much progress. Are there any basic measurement standard at this point for the federal government?
Well, first of all, let me just chip in one or two things in respect of what my colleague has just said. You see, the activists out there, the Bring Back Our Girls activists, they do not know Boko Haram. The face they know is that of government.
Yes.
You are my elected leaders.
Yeah.
If there is anything going wrong, I should turn to you.
At the same time,
Who
we
is
should
Boko
also...
Haram that I'm
Yeah,
talking
exactly.
to? Do I
We
know
don't
Boko
know him.
Haram? All I'm telling you is that my girls are missing, and you have what it takes to bring them back. I've elected you. I've given you all it takes to do the job for me.
Yes.
You have the entire instruments of coercion at your disposal.
Yes.
Okay? You go find the girls and get
bring
them
them
to
back.
me.
That's all.
That's all. It's you I know. Who else do I cry to?
Yeah.
If you have a little child at home and the child is
Missing.
hungry, the child will go start meeting the neighbor. He turns to the parents and cry to the parents.
Yeah.
The question
let's
now
be very
is,
objective here.
are you saying that the federal government is not doing enough to get the civilian support? Because the way it is now, of course, federal government is battling terrorism and it needs all the patriotism, just like he said earlier, from the citizenry in Nigeria.
The government, instead of cutting the support of the people, is instead trying to make the people... divide the people against themselves. Because frankly speaking, and one other thing I noticed with the government is that they seem to be so insensitive, highly insensitive, and there are several, pointers I could make here to let you know that I think the government is insensitive. Since they have been against this Bring Back Our Girls activities, at least they have known that a lot of people in the country, out of the 170 million of us, are against what they are doing. What is your reason for being against this people?
Exactly.
If you are a wise government and you notice, oh, the people are against what I'm doing,
and you turn around and change the strategy.
Thank you. You change your strategy. Try to make sure you turn the situation to your advantage.
Yes, align with the people.
I was telling a friend the other day that what stops Mr. President once in a week from identifying with those guys?
Exactly.
Drive up there, stop, shake their hands, tell them, well, we are doing all we can.
Yeah.
We appreciate what you are doing in keeping this thing in the front burner. Yeah. You identify with them.
But are you saying that
them there for 10,
there
15
is no
minutes.
possibility of that movement being hijacked by the opposition?
If it has been hijacked, you can turn it to your advantage.
Forget about the opposition, because it's not a political field.
Yes.
This is a factual field. Children are missing. Parents are aggrieved. Nigerians are worried, because it could be any parent, it could be anyone's child in this situation. Unfortunately, it is in Noboko, in Borno, but it could have been in Lagos.
Yeah.
We've had kidnappers kidnap children from schools in Lagos as well.
Yeah.
And of course, you would put the scenario in the same context. If they were even normal kidnappers, forget about Boko Haram, and children were missing for 100 days. What position do you think responsible parents will take? It's the same. Yeah. But the issue is that the government has misread and misinterpreted the whole thing.
It's all right.
First of all, you were saying that what did they do? First of all, it was an embarrassment for me, personally, to hear that 2 weeks into the incident, they had no facts about it. That was an embarrassment. You have state infrastructure in Borno, no matter how weak, and that means you have infrastructure to factually tell or inform the state what had happened. But 2 weeks, 3 weeks into it, the president was still saying, or the government was still saying, no children were missing. Is that not embarrassing?
Let's get back on track in the discussion, Colonel. Earlier, we were talking about this popular saying that if Nigeria could survive a civil war, then Nigeria can survive just anything. Okay. Is there any relationship between the involvement of foreign nations, Western involvement in Nigerian civil war, and the battle against Boko Haram as it is now?
Well, I wouldn't see much difference per se. I wouldn't see much difference per se, frankly speaking, because in the case of the civil war, when the foreigners came in there, I would want to interpret the bulk of the intervention we have by virtue of the civil war has been out of some form of, do I say, colonial allegiance, sort of, from the British to its subjects, and and so on. Unlike what we have now happening, which is strictly sovereign nations, trying to sort out a problem on ground, which has taken a global dimension anyway, and the need for the international community to see how they could come together and see how they approach this issue headlong. I think that is the two different...
Yeah, don't forget that the international interest is also to protect the international community. Now, because a stitch in time saves nine.
Yes.
If Nigeria cannot handle Boko Haram appropriately. They have a tendency, terrorism has a tendency of growing and causing greater damage
Cross borders.
across borders. And that's what they were interested in. Now, they've perhaps haven't looked at it and seen that this is such a small, infinitesimal group. The international community is saying, well, this is nothing to really worry about. Maybe that's why they've gone to bed. I mean, they've relaxed their aggression. But it is still a cancer. And it is still a threat that may blossom. Today it may be quiet. But I remember when Al-Qaeda started, we first started Al-Qaeda in Sudan. What's the name of that? Osama bin Laden was in West African region. We in Africa didn't even make any issue of it.
Just a minute, let's take this feedback from our Facebook page. It's from Aminat Abdullahi from Kano. The recent Kano blast shows that the Boko Haram guys are moving out of Northeast and they are getting closer to every part of the country daily. The foreign intervention has no solution to what we're facing in Nigeria. Let our leaders turn a new leaf and help in tackling this issue with all sincerity. And that brings us to our next question, talking about how united the political leadership is, you know, in the fight against Boko Haram. The recent one was against a political leader, a former head of state in Nigeria, as well as another religious leader in the north. Do you think that incident will make the opposition and the ruling party more united in this fight?
The truth of the matter is that the politicians have terribly mismanaged this crisis. In a crisis that affects the normal, ordinary Nigerian, an attack of one Nigerian is an attack of the Nigerian state. If we had viewed it from that perspective, it would have been a different matter today. But when this thing started, you heard the government, the PDP, saying it's an APC problem. How dare you say that? There is no basis for you to make such grievous allegations without facts. Rather, what the PDP should have done, or the government should have done, was to bring everybody together, not divide the house and create gaps that lead to intractable solutions, which is what it is now. Now, sadly, or rightly now, the PDP made this terrible allegation against APC. An APC leader was attacked yesterday by a person of President Buhari. Now, how do you look at that? If it was true that APC had sentiments for Boko Haram or were favorite disposed to Boko Haram, how come Boko Haram will attempt to kill an APC leader?
But this accusation is not only peculiar to the PDP. It's been from both parties, from the ruling party and the opposition.
Exactly, that's my point.
You read the Iyako's letter to Mr. President, you know, outrightly accusing him of operating, you know, an operation that is increasing genocide in northern Nigeria. These are grievous accusations that it's not particular to it's not peculiar to a particular political party.
You see, both of them, both leadership have failed Nigeria.
The fact is that the politicians and elite class seem to be driving a hate campaign.
Which further divides the country.
The fabric of our society,
dangerously.
Which is dividing the entire country, you know, against itself.
But in real sense, it's an opportunity for Nigerians to take their destiny in their hands. That's what has happened by the way they've handled this. It's a very small issue.
They're just manipulating
but they play
things,
they put in ethnicity, they put religion. Anytime you bring these two things into politics, you are looking for crisis and destruction.
It's all right. Colonel, 2015 is just a few months away, and then we're talking about political leadership and how they've been able to manage this crisis. You mentioned earlier that both of them have failed Nigeria. What option is on the table for Nigerians now? What exactly is that role that the average electorate has to play come 2015?
First of all, I must say this. In this country, we have never had the opportunity or the privilege of having our best 11 playing in the political class, political space. We have never had it. our very best hands, in most cases, don't have the privilege and opportunity and access to be, you know, in the business of governance.
But what has been
in this
responsible
country.
for that?
Fine, we shall come to that. What has been responsible, I would say, is twofold. One, the manipulations by the various party leaderships too, through their so-called primaries, which are never primaries, and so they end up throwing up to us half-baked, or I don't know how to call it, half-baked materials as leaders. When we, the electorates, will know those amongst us who can really deliver. They have the capacity for delivery and so on. But they will never have the access and opportunity. Okay? So the point I'm trying to make is that most of the primaries in most of the parties that throw up these candidates are wishy-washy. There are no primaries as far as I'm concerned. They just select godsons and so on, and impose them upon us. If we can take care of that, we have solved part of the problem. Two, we the electorates, for Christ's sake, we should drop this idea of, is this stomach infrastructure or whatever they call it, and go out there and vote in candidates who have the interests of this country at heart.
Just a minute, Colonel. Just hold your thought a little. This is Bengal Shilowa from Oyo. The Nigerian army have not really given them the full support needed to carry out their duty. Some of the soldiers of Boko Haram giving information to those guys in Sambisa Forest. Let's stop abusing the president or passing blames. Let's flush out the bad apples in the Nigerian army to get things done faster. Bring back our girls, for God's sake. All right, Colonel, you were talking about stomach infrastructure. Bless you. I hope you didn't catch the Boko Haram flu.
So this is it. Okay, if you take a look at the last elections in, is it Ekiti? You know, well, the people have spoken. If the vote we see before us is that of the people, okay, they have spoken. But it is unfortunate that Nigeria's politics is already drifting in this direction of stomach infrastructure. So instead of good roads and what have you, you prefer the temporary bag of rice.
The momentarily
benefits
rather than the futuristic benefits.
No, we cannot categorically assume that was what happened in Ekiti.
What else do you need to what other analysis do you want to give to it?
Not many people will agree with you on that.
No. I have a different take on Ekiti. Fayos's problem is, you see, well, Colonel has located...
This discussion is not about Ekiti.
No, I know.
It's not about
I don't want us to...
I just want us to get it in perspective.
Yes, please.
Colonel has located the issues in the proper context. We do not have a true democratic process for the selection of leadership. We do not have. I mean, anyone that says we have will be deceiving ourselves.
Yes.
But the truth is that the duty is on Nigerians to take a keener interest in who governs the state.
He also identified the party politics. How do the average Nigerian get involved in that?
You see, let's use democracy as practiced anywhere else in the world. The parties are public parties. They belong to us. They're registered for Nigeria and for Nigerians. Let meaningful Nigerians, more purposeful Nigerians, more patriotic Nigerians get involved in the process.
That is it.
Even with the parties. No matter how faulty their ideology may be, we can still reshape into purpose for our collective interest. But if we stay out and say, look, this party can never do it, and the good people that need good governance stay out, then what would you complain to?
Let's take this from Sonny Shehu from Kaduna. It's only those in the north that can explain what we are facing as regards to Boko Haram insurgency. Despite the foreign intervention, these Boko Haram elements are still on the rampage. We now move out having the fear of the unknown. Who is next in the attack?
Sad.
And that's a big question. Very sad.
Sad but true. Now, how did you get here? You were trying to put a position on the table. Now, believe me, it's been a mismanagement of information dissemination by the government. If we are to locate it.
How do you mean?
Now, there's a crisis in the country. The solution is not to further divide the people. The solution is to unite the people. The Nigerians are patriotic enough and concerned enough about the state and the welfare of the state of Nigeria. So we have enough people that will be sympathetic enough and looking for the good to come out of this mess. But when the issues that are put on the table are divisive, religious and ethnicity, how do you build a united front against Boko Haram?
You know, there's this interplay between terrorism, Colonel, and politics in Nigeria. You know, just like you established earlier, that there's been counter-criticism between parties and all of that. And some have even gone to the extent of saying that certain political heads are at the base. You know, the military also came up with this report that some Boko Haram members who were caught were found with certain party registration cards with them. Now, let's match this with the foreign intervention in gathering intelligence. How involved do you think this Western intervention will be in the politics of Nigeria as it is now?
To start with, I think there is a big disconnect between the fight for terrorism and the ambitions of our politicians come 2015.
Exactly.
And that disconnect is really impacting seriously
on the polity.
On the polity. A great deal. So it begins to affect nearly everything you want to look at. And that is why nearly every good intention is misinterpreted either as being political or whatever and so on.
They had a motivation to whatever steps are taken.
Yes.
Now, how do you then solve the problem? It's a quagmire. You see, what I've always maintained about the leadership of Nigeria, we require statesmen, not politicians.
Not politicians.
These guys are politicians. Statesmen will say it as it is.
As it is.
In the best interest of the state.
Do you agree that the Boko Haram menace is political in Nigeria?
It's been politicized. It's not political. It was.
It's been politicized.
It was criminal mismanagement of the resources of Nigeria that led to that.
Sure.
And we must accept that as a beginning.
Sure.
As a beginning point, as a starting point of Boko Haram.
Just,
until we come to that reality and accept that reality, we're going to start addressing the issues.
It's all right. As a roundup now, let's just take some of the social media feeds we have here. Feedback from Facebook. Jumoke Olaoye from Osun. The only solution to this problem is God's intervention, not foreign intervention. I pray that God will deliver this country from every innocent blood we are sharing. You remember that. It's all right. Let's move away from that. The way I have all the comments from our Facebook page. Okay, Kunle Ajayi from Lagos. I think this foreign intervention cannot even work here in Nigeria because they don't know the terrain very well. No foreign soldier can know the territories of another country without internal support of the people. Let us look unto God to intervene. All right, we have more on our Facebook page. Thank you anyway, Kunle Ajayi, for sending that. We're rounding up now. Let's just, many Nigerians, you know, some have said that we're very superstitious and religious, and then we have to go to God. But there's also been, we must not also forget that we've had a lot of vigils, a lot of prayers and fastings in this fight against Boko Haram. Yeah. What exactly is the way out? Let me start with you, Colonel, as we begin to round up.
First and foremost, it is important that we put in place a national security awareness program for the entire populace. This is a program that should be well categorized, you know, for schools, for hotels and leisure places, for homes and estates, for offices, and so on. I expect the National Orientation Agency and the Office of the National Security Advisor to be able to drive this process in a very good synergy with the public security and private security outfits out there. We have left these private security outfits for too long out of the scheme of things. And we don't seem to understand that we have a crop of individuals there who are so knowledgeable security-wise. I know what I'm saying. The US did realize that there's only after the 9/11 incident, which made them to be able to, at the end of the day, form the Department of Home Security by bringing in these guys, you know, into the mainstream security architecture of the country. We need to do that. A lot of hands are wasting out there. And by bringing them in, we shall also be taking a lot of minor responsibilities from the police force, and therefore free some hands from the police to go do more serious policing duties.
It's all right. Bronco Rhodes, just a minute as we round up. What you talked about patriotism earlier, and that caught my attention. How do you think we can manage that with this dwindling faith in the federal government? You also expressed that earlier.
But you see, the issue of patriotism in Nigeria, I've never seen a more patriotic crop of people than Nigerians. But it is the ability to bring out that patriotism from them that makes it a value or an asset. Now, the leadership needs to understand that Nigerians are with the government. Forget about the politicians. The people, ordinary people in this country are with the government and they want solutions because we are tired of the bloodletting.
That's just it.
Every day, one sad news or the other. We're tired of that. Nigerians don't want that. Nigerians are not bloodthirsty hounds. We are peaceful people. Yeah. So from that aspect, or in that respect, the government needs to find a way of galvanizing this patriotism and causing it to infect or to affect everything that is being introduced in the fight against this Boko Haram. Now, in the north where this menace is being expressed the most, there are still patriotic Nigerians there. In the army, there are patriotic Nigerians there. But why can't we build a strong force or a strong bridge that connects patriots together to rescue this country? Yeah.
Thank you
for the
very
sake
much.
of this country and for the sake of Nigeria.
Akintoye Bronco Rhodes is a political affairs analyst. Thank you very much for joining us. And of course, a retired military colonel is retired, but not tired. Hassan Stanlabo, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I wish you very quick recovery from that Boko Haram flu that you have. It's all right. Thank you very much for staying with us. 2014 is a very historic year for Nigeria. 100 years of amalgamation of the northern and southern protectorates. Of course, 15 years of democracy, and later this year we'll also be celebrating about 54 years of independence as a nation. And this is also the preceding year to that U.S. prophecy that Nigeria would divide in 2015. And don't forget that there's a report of the National Confab that is under heavy scrutiny as we speak, and many are of the opinion that Nigeria would not divide. As a matter of fact, this has been described as a pang of birth. It comes with a lot of pain, a lot of trouble, but that will give birth to a new season for Nigeria. And you and I are the midwives in all of this. We'll take a break now to bring you the Core TV news on the hour, and we'll be back with you. That'll be tomorrow for another exciting edition of Core Digest. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Thanks for staying with us.
You can now watch Core TV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to Core TV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click Core TV, leave a space, then News. Core TV News, a 24-hour news station.